1.5 years. The entire experience includes working in ETL itself. The last 4 years I've been using this tool called Pentaho. So what is Pentaho basically? Pentaho is an open source tool, open source ETL tool. Basically that is what the market outside for Pentaho is. Pentaho also supports reporting. You can make custom reports, you can make UI website hosting reports also through Pentaho. So that is entirely out of the scope of this training. What we'll be concentrating on in this training will be the data integration tool of Pentaho, which is used for ETL. Okay, so first we'll start with data warehousing concepts, and then we get on to Pentaho architecture.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
One second, let me just start sharing my screen. So can you see an image?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah. So this is just a random image from the internet. Basically, data warehousing is a big concept in itself, but the whole architecture is simple and it will comprise of the same things. So you'll have your source, you'll have your, this is your source. So your source could be anything. It could be a flat file, it could be an OLTP system, it could be an OLAP system, it could be probably there are a lot of legacy systems that have been built, and they are built with an understanding of the current time. Not necessarily that legacy system will support 20 years down the road. So whatever the technology at that time will be in data warehouse or database, one needs to adapt to it so that you try to get the entire experience right when you're using a new technology. So when you want to move such your legacy system into a new database, you can use an ETL tool. So this is the historical repository of data. Then there are external sources. You have your CRM systems, you have your ERP systems. See, at any point if you do not understand any word that I say, you could ask me, right? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so this is your data source. So how it works is you have your source, you pull the data into a staging area. So when it is a staging area, you do not do any modifications to the data. You just pull the data as is in the source into your system. The only modification that you'll do is that supports your system. For example, if it was a flat file and your source system is a flat file and your current system is a MySQL database. Okay, so what basically your flat file is a file and your current MySQL database will require data to be put into tables.
Yes.
Right. So this is what you'll do in the staging area. You'll create a data warehouse in your MySQL system. You'll call it a staging area where you'll not do anything else but just convert the source system data into your into a
MySQL.
form which is supported. Yeah, right. Exactly. Which is supported by your staging area. So this is what your staging area will be. So this is not your final form of output. Now your data storage. This is where your data warehouse or your data marts will lie. So what you'll do is you'll use the ETL tool again, and from your staging area, you will make adjustments to the data. You will cleanse the data. You will probably validate the data, and all the necessary operations that you want to operate to have the data in the most legitimate form. You'll do it here, and you'll store it into your data warehouse. So what is the difference between a data warehouse and a data mart? Data warehouse is the entire data together. Your data mart would be a part of it, a subset of it, which is collectively related to each other. Like for example, you have a multi-client account. Okay, so you have data for multiple clients. What you could do is you could create, so not necessarily your one client's data will be related to another client's data. You'll have it all together in your data warehouse. You'll create small marts for particular clients. because at a time when you'll show your report, or at a time when you have to give something in the output, you will rarely want a report which will have data for all clients. You'll probably want it only for your analysis or your organization's analysis as to how much data you deliver to all the clients. But when you're giving it to the client, a particular client A, a particular client B, A will only be interested in A's data, B will only be interested in B's data. So that's why you create data marts, so that you have related subset of your data together. Okay. Next, what you can do is there's a data presentation area. So on your data warehouse, you can build cubes, you can do reporting, you can do data mining. OLAP is, you know what OLAP is?
Online.
Yeah, analytical processing, and OLTP is your transactional data. The basic difference between the two is your transactional data is point in time data. For example, there are transactions that are occurring, you keep appending the data. OLAP data is basically, OLTP data is basically your bank data. OLAP data is, you have a lot of historical data, the entire data together is your OLAP data.
Okay.
Okay, so you have, then you on this, what you can do is on your data warehouse, there'll be facts, there'll be dimensions. So these, you can start building a report on these facts and dimensions. In data mining, basically what you do is you try to, in data mining, what you try to do is you try to find out the relationship between one set of data to another set, like whether there is a dominoes effect in your data. The greatest example I think that I have right now for data mining is when somebody goes to a grocery store to buy milk. So when a person is buying milk, he's more likely to buy bread. So this is something that you can determine from the data that you have. If there was revenue generated by somebody using buying milk, by buying the product milk, so it can be that person also has bought bread in most of the transactions. So next time, a giveaway from this mining activity could be, you could keep your bread and milk together. So you are likely to sell more products. You are likely to sell 2 products than you are likely to sell 1. Okay. So basically this is at a high level. There are, in the data warehouse, there are facts and dimensions. You know what facts and dimensions are?
Facts and dimensions.
Okay, I'll give you a general idea. I'll not give you an actual definition. So your basic OLAP data warehouse will always have facts, will always have dimensions. The way this storage happens is there are certain schemas that are standardly defined. There is a starscape schema and there is a snowflake schema. We'll go into the details later. So I'll give you a high level of what these consist of. Basically, they'll have fact, they'll have a dimension. What is a dimension? What is a fact? See, anything that is measurable will be a dimension, the attribute used to measure. For example, you have your metrics. You have kilometers, you have kgs, you have liters. So what are kilometers, kgs and liters? They are basically a metric that is used to measure an adjacent product, right? Kilometers is used to measure distance. Like for example, Adil, am I right?
That's right.
Yeah. So Adil ran 5 kilometers a day. This is not the idealistic data warehouse example, but if Adil runs 5 kilometers a day, if you want to store this data into a fact, so you will have an entry for an entry in your fact to identify a user, Adil. Okay. So you cannot actually store the entire your name. So what does it take to identify Adil? 1, you're a male. 2, your name. 3, whether you're active in the data warehouse or you're inactive. So I cannot have 3 columns in one table. What I could do is I could create a small table which describes a user. I could have a user dimension where I could have a surrogate key. Surrogate key is basically an incremental key in the table which is going to be used as a reference in your fact table. Okay, so I could have a key generated. Then I can have your name, I can have your age, I can have your sex, and I can have whether you're active or whether you're inactive. So I had 4 columns basically, and instead of these 4 columns, I could store the surrogate key in my fact table as a reference to these 4 columns.
Okay.
Okay, so I store user ID as key in my fact table. Next, we talked about the distance that you traveled. So you traveled 5 kilometers. I cannot have 5 km repeated in my what do you call fact table. It's it will become a text field, right? So if I have to add, for example, I want to remove the number of kilometers a couple of users ran on a particular day. Right. So I cannot keep adding 5 kilometers plus 5 kilometers. When I store it as a number or as a string. I don't want to store it as a mix of something, and then aggregation would become a little difficult, right? And when the data that you're talking about in the data warehouse, the data is like in millions and billions. So when you want to aggregate on something of this sort, you cannot always clean the data and then aggregate. So what you do is you create a metric. For example, you create a distance diamond. So you'll have an S key, which will be a primary key of distance diamond, which we'll store in the what do you call your fact table. And then over here you can define the unit used to measure will be kilometer. And if you want to assign certain points or something, like if you run 5 kilometers, you will get some bonus points of 100. If you run 10 kilometers, you'll get a bonus point of 200. I mean, it completely depends on the application that you're creating. I'm just trying to explain where dimensions and facts come into picture. You're getting me, right?
Yeah, I'm getting it.
Okay. So another example of a dimension and fact would be you have a retail store. You have a lot of products, right? So retail store makes a lot of transactions every day. So if the store is like 2 years old, so you'll have a transactional data about 2 years. So what you so your fact table will basically have what? You'll have a dimension table, for example, to decide about the clothing, for example, for products. So the first product would be clothing. Clothing can be categorized into male, female. It can be categorized into big, small, small, XL, XS, in this sort. Then it can be categorized into color, right? All this is something that defines the clothing. Now in the fact table, what you store is, you store your factual data, something that is measurable. Like in the previous example, Adil ran 5 kilometers. So this 5 is a value that needs to be attributed for a particular day to a particular user. So that 5 will be stored in your fact table. So your fact table will look something like that. You'll have a user ID S key, the primary key of user diamond. You'll have a date ID S key, the primary key of a day diamond. Then you have your amount of number of kilometers that you ran. So you'll have 5 in the table. Then you'll have your housekeeping columns like created ID, created by timestamp, modified ID, modified timestamp. So these housekeeping columns are basically not part of the, they don't add value to the factual data, but they're you want to later analyze the data, you want to know what data was loaded today, what was loaded yesterday. So all these tables help you manage the data properly.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, so now talking about the example of a retail store. So your fact table will probably consider a particular the one who sits at the store, the one who works at the store, who actually sold the product, his ID. Then you'll have a date. Then you'll have the transaction amount that he did. If he's brought number of products, if he's brought 3, and the total transaction. Now it depends how the fact was designed, whether it was designed for one transaction or whether it was designed for the entire transaction. Like if it was designed for the entire transaction in one row, so how you'll store is, you'll have a column which is number of products, you'll have a column the amount generated due to that products, and you'll have an S key of the product that was stored. So when you join these dimension tables to your fact, you'll get all the information, like the name of the product that was brought, the size of the product that was brought, the color of the product that was brought. okay, and the amount of revenue that selling the product generated.
Mm-hmm.
So this is
Okay.
the kind of information that is stored in the fact. Anything that describes this measurable data is stored in your uh, dimension table. The
Mm-hmm.
most common dimensions are the day diamond, month diamond, where you store, where you'll make one row for a particular day. See,
Mm-hmm.
as date can be stored in multiple forms. Now you're a UI developer, you'll know this. You can have it as YYMMDD, you can have it as YY, and then month you'll have it as a small text, and you can have a day, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you cannot always store different type of data in, for example, for one row you cannot store the date in one format, and for the other row you cannot store the date in other format. So what you can do is priorly create a day diamond,
Mm-hmm.
a particular day, and create columns accordingly. For
Mm-hmm.
example, today is 13th of July. So you can
Mm-hmm.
have a column in 13th of July where you have the date stored in text, the month, the year, the day, then the date stored as YYMMDD, the date stored as, in some other form that your data warehouse or your reports require them to store.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the fly, you can join the fact with your dimension table, and whatever the current requirement is, you can publish the date in that format.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You have some questions for me?
Uh, Questions are like, so I just want to make it clear what I
Okay.
understood is,
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
so the data source is like whatever the data, I mean, they give you
Yeah.
to extract is the
Correct.
data source, right?
Right. Right.
And uh, it doesn't matter like what format they give, like they might be
Correct.
flat data or anything, maybe SQL,
Right.
uh,
Right. Right. Correct. It could
anything.
be any kind of, right. Right. It could be SQL and you want to put it into MySQL. Actually, these days there are a lot of legacy systems that are in a relational database. They want to move to Hadoop.
Yeah.
So even that is an example out here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the data staging area is like where you pull the data from data source and filter it or arrange the format, whatever format the client needed. Is that right?
No, actually, your staging area will basically only be taking the data from multiple sources. For example, now we're assuming that we have a flat file. It could be we have a flat file also. We could have data. Some data could be in a SQL system also. So now you have
Mm-hmm.
two heterogeneous data sources, right? So you want the
Mm-hmm.
entire data to be in one source, your
Mm-hmm.
source,
Mm-hmm.
where you want to perform all the cleansing, validating operations. So basically, data stage is that you're just pulling the data from a source. It could be
Mm-hmm.
one, it could be multiple, and putting it
Mm-hmm.
into your system. That's the only
Okay.
job that you do at data staging area. Like for example,
Okay.
filter is correct. For example, your legacy system had 3 years worth of data, but you want to
Mm-hmm.
work on only 2 years worth of data. So 2 years
Mm-hmm.
worth of data you'll be putting into your staging area
Mm-hmm.
in a format, in the most basic format. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead now.
And after you extracting it into this, like you store the data in the data storage, they
Correct.
are data warehouse, and
Yeah.
again from that data warehouse you like according to the clients, like there are multiple clients, according to their requirements you just divide that data into like data marts.
Correct.
Suppose there are two different clients, you just extract or differentiate that data from data warehouse into two different data marts, so that
Correct.
like
Correct.
each client can get the data from that their own marts.
Correct. Correct.
And data presentation area is data.
Yeah. So basically here what
uh,
you'll do is your data will be in the most granular form in your data warehouse. Your reports may
mhm,
be a little aggregated. Like for example, you have your data storage in a day grade. Okay. But your reports want a yearly report. So what you'll do is, on top of this data warehouse, you write certain queries or you'll use an ETL tool and load it into an aggregated table. That could be a table, you could create a cube, any sort of aggregation you can perform on your granular data and make it as per the requirement of your presentation layer.
Okay. Okay.
So the most basic example would be that, for example, your data warehouse was at a day level, or probably for a day only there are multiple records, but at a presentation layer you want to show a consolidated performance of a day. So you'll group the entire data for a particular day and then you'll show it at this layer. So whatever your reporting requirement is, you'll have it here in the presentation area.
Okay.
Yeah.
So normally you are using the filters in two sections, in data staging also, in the data presentation also.
Yeah. Basically, in data presentations, not exactly filter. You'll be aggregating it. Like for example, a particular day, like I told you, Adil ran 5 kilometers. I ran 10 kilometers. Somebody else ran 15 kilometers on 13th of July. Okay. So if I want to show my report for 13th of July, the total number of kilometers covered by all the users. So I could show 13 plus 5 plus 10. Okay. If I want to show number of users that ran on 13th, I will have 3 users. Okay. Number of users that ran today. Yeah. So yeah, that's it.
Okay. So that is all about this ETL ADA. What is this?
This is metadata.
Pentaho.
Yeah. So I not start with Pentaho yet. This is just data warehousing that I've given the explanation. Actually, the client that enrolled wanted data warehousing as well as Pentaho. So I gave in the overview of data warehousing. So there's a lot to data warehousing. Probably the definitions that I'm giving also are not the exact book definitions. All I want is the audience needs to understand the context before they start using the ETL tool. So now I'll go get into Pentaho architecture. Okay. This is the Pentaho BI suite, Business Intelligence Enterprise Edition. So Pentaho has a Community Edition and the Enterprise Edition. Community Edition has most of the features. Enterprise Edition has few features which are more than that presented in the Community Edition. So what is Community Edition? Community Edition is a free edition that you can directly download from their website and you can start using it. Your data integration, the ETL tool comes under the Pentaho Community Edition. Enterprise Edition has a few features extra. That is, they support repository. You are aware of what repository is?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So basically, like you have your SVN or you have your Git, Pentaho has its own repository also. So only in the Enterprise Edition is that repository available. People who use Community Edition can use any other repository, like they can use SVN, they can use Git, because basically the output of the way the code is written in this is a XML file itself. So you can store those file in your given repository. So it should not matter if you use, it's okay to use the Community Edition. Most of your work is done. There's also a scheduling that the Enterprise Edition has, where you can schedule jobs, you can monitor those jobs. And there's an 24/7, I think, support also that they give with the Enterprise Edition. Okay. So here I'll teach you about the Community Edition. So this is the architecture of the entire suite. Here you have your third-party application. Then you have your data integration tool. This is the layer that we'll be starting basically in Pentaho. This is your application layer. Then you can do reporting, analysis, you can create dashboards, you can do process management, and then present the layer at a browser or portal or a web service or via email on your presentation layer. So I'll go each in detail. Okay, so you have your third-party application. It could be like we discussed, you have your sources. So this is basically your source. you have a ERP system, you have a CRM system, or you have some legacy data that you want to migrate to another data source, or you have a legacy data where you want to report, where you want to build reports on. So if you want to build reports on, you need to have the entire, it's not actually need to, it is preferred to have the entire data if it is a relational data in one data warehouse, so that you can build reports easily over it. Then you have your OLAP, then you have other applications and your local data. Your also system has some data. You have some data from your legacy system also. So the you want to create a mix of everything together, have it in one place, and then build the further application on it. So this is your data application. You understood, right? What third-party applications will be?
Yeah, third-party
Right?
applications are like those are all data sources.
Right, right. So next you have your data application and data and application integration. Okay. So here you have your ETL, you have your metadata, you have your EII. So EII is ETL is extract, transform, load. Metadata, you know what metadata is? See, metadata is basically an information about your data. So that's what you store in metadata columns, metadata tables. Even in MySQL, when you have your tables, there's an information schema where in a particular data warehouse there are how many tables, in a particular table there are how many columns. This information can be got from information schema. So that is basically a metadata of your warehouse. So such data is metadata, where you have information about your data. Because sometimes when you have to build an application, you need to know what kind of data, or what is the, like for example, you have a column, okay, and you store data in it. So the way it is stored, you cannot always go and check a particular column every time in your warehouse. What you can do is you can get this information from your information schema, that okay, what is the maximum, what is the length of the column, or what is the type of the column, or what is the name of the column. Okay, you have a table, you have particular table X, so how many columns are present in X, so that you can build the application around it. Okay, then you have your EII. I'm not really aware of this. This is, I think, ETL integrity injection or something. I haven't used this. Basically, what I have used is ETL and metadata. Okay. So here is where your now data integration tool comes into picture. What you'll do is, using this tool, you will get data from one source. You can dump it into your staging area. You can change it as per what you want. Cleanse it, validate it, and put it into your data warehouse. And then you can build cubes out of it. You can build tables out of it. Whatever, you can do all that using this data, this DI tool, data integration tool. Okay. Once you have your base created, you have your business intelligence platform. Your Pentaho will help you take care of the security. It will help you to do all the admin tasks. You can implement your business logic here. You can connect it to a repository or store your data in the repository. In the enterprise edition, you can store the repository. In your community edition, you can use whatever repository you want to. It's quite easy to basically see. Your data integration output will be a file, and you can easily manage a file in your external repository. Okay. So security would be like, you have single sign-on. You're aware of single sign-on, right?
Single sign-on.
See, your Google account, I'll tell you what it is. Your Google account. You have your YouTube, you have your Gmail, you have your Google Docs. So if you've logged in into Gmail, they do not prompt you another window where you're supposed to put user and password for other application which is related to Google product, right? So that's what, yeah, so that is single sign-on. You just need to sign in once, and whatever related applications will be, you can implement that using your current login. So that is the kind of security that can be implemented in this business layer. then you want
Mm-hmm.
security of this sort.
Mm-hmm.
For example, you want certain users to access this report, certain users to access only a part of the report. Like you have 4 pages in the report, but you want, for example, you have admin users or you have a manager. He should be able to
Mm-hmm.
access all 4 pages in a report. But if you have an employee
Mm-hmm.
who is under the manager and you want him to access only 2 pages, so that kind of security you can
Mm-hmm.
implement in security.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then you have administration.
Mm-hmm.
Like you want to schedule jobs, you want to, like for example now, like I told you, you want to fetch data from a source to a destination. Now not necessarily this
Mm-hmm.
be only like last 2 years data. This could be a point in time action. Like your source system
Mm-hmm.
will be getting updated every day and you want to do the same
Mm-hmm.
in your system also. So when you're
Mm-hmm.
first time loading, you will probably load the entire historical data also.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So if you're loading historical data, you'll be able to load till 13th of July. But if you want to
Mm-hmm.
load it further, you want some system in place that whenever your source system gets updated, you want to load the data in an incremental fashion in your warehouse also, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's what.
Understand.
So you'll need to schedule certain jobs, right? You cannot keep running your whatever you've written every day. So all these activities you can do here also. You can schedule jobs, transformations, and have
Mm-hmm.
your logic implemented. Okay. You have any
Mm-hmm.
doubts so far?
So the thing, the business intelligence platform is like we are creating a platform there. Is it?
Yeah. Basically, it's not a platform that we're creating. It's basically how you divide your the entire data flow or your entire life cycle of your application. So you had your
Yeah.
data, you got it into your system. Now you have your data as the format that you want in your system. Now you're trying to manage that data. So that is what is being done in this business intelligence platform. So we've seen about security, administration. Now we'll see about business logic. So if you have
Mm-hmm.
certain business logic that your reports or your application requires on your current data, so that can be implemented here. Like for example, you have a survey, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and you want to gauge how many people have given a positive answer in the survey. So the options available was you have rated a probably you rated a training, okay, so 10 users have rated the training, out of 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you write a business, anything that is above 5 is good for you. So this
Mm-hmm.
anything that is above 5
Mm-hmm.
is your business logic. That is what you implement here on your data. So any rows
Mm-hmm.
that are which have a value of rating greater than 5 um, should be the number of users that should be displayed here. Or you
Mm-hmm.
want to find out who was the topper. You want to find out how, in comparison to other trainings, how this training was. So this is
Mm-hmm.
specific logic that is specific to your business or specific to your application. So that is
Mm-hmm.
implemented in logic. Then there is repository. So I think there are 3 types of repositories in Pentaho. One is
Mm-hmm.
they are internal, the enterprise version of repository. One is
Mm-hmm.
file-based repository and data. One is database based repository. So what you
Mm-hmm.
can do is database repository and your file-based repository also come with community edition, I think. So
Mm-hmm.
you can store your what you call. I'm not sure though whether this comes with community or not. I'll confirm that once. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You can store. So basically, all these 3 is DI based repositories. You cannot really see where the file is getting stored, but it will be stored internally in the Pentaho in your server.
Mm-hmm.
You
Okay.
whenever you install this whole BI suite, now you'll have to integrate it to a database server.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so your
Okay.
entire file will be stored in that server.
Okay.
In the file-based repository, you can actually see where the file is stored.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
In the and your what your transformation or everything will be stored as a file. In your then there's the third type, database kind of repository, where you get to define a data warehouse or database where you want to store the data, and the entire data of your file will be stored in a tabular format.
Okay.
Okay, so these are the three types of repositories that are available. So next layer is this reporting. So from your business intelligence platform, you can do reporting, you can do analysis, you can do dashboards, you can do process management. Process management is this: integration, definition, execution. Basically, there's this UI portal of what do you call it, Pentaho, and you can plug in data inside that using SQL queries. You can plug in data using KTR. What is KTR is it's an output of your Pentaho tool. Okay, you're getting me, right?
Hello. Actually, you are like breaking in the middle.
Okay, now you can hear me properly. Hello.
Is it on your side or on my side?
Okay,
Cause
even now there's a trouble.
I can hear you now, but
Okay,
still there's a
there's some
breaks in
noise
the
in
middle.
between.
No, there's breaks in the middle.
Okay, let me check once. I think my network is showing correctly. Uh, okay, if I continue, if it is very much disturbing, I will log out and log in again.
Sure.
Okay? Yeah. So, did you not hear about the process management?
Process, no.
Okay, so basically what is this integration, definition and execution? Basically process management is you have your online you have a website, for example. Okay, so you can create a website, dashboards. Dashboard, you're aware of what dashboard is?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so your dashboard needs data from some source, right? So that source, the integration between that source and your dashboard is the process management that you're talking about. There'll be certain connection definitions that you'll have to define. There'll be certain, you have to define a source. So your source could be anything. It could be a cube, it could be a SQL query, it could be a MDX query, it could be a KTR. So KTR is basically an output of your Pentaho application, your data integration tool. We'll come to that in the further sessions when I'll explain how Pentaho exactly works, the data integration part. So then you can create dashboards using this BI suite. You can do certain analysis. You can actually create a queue and you can analyze it. You can actually move certain, certain sections of it on the x-axis. You can move certain sections of it on a y-axis. You can dice the cube. You can slice the cube. All this can be done in this whole analysis part. See, you can drill and explore also. If you have, for example, an application, you want to see the divisions in that application, business units in that application. So you can drill down. You can create such reports also in Pentaho. Then reporting, production, operational, ad hoc. You can create ad hoc reports. You can create production reports. I'm not sure what operational is. Though, okay. So you can do basically reporting. And your last layer is your presentation layer. So your output of the reports could be either a browser. You can host your Pentaho reports in a browser. You can host it on a portal. You can, what is Office? I'm not sure. You can have the output as a web service. So for example, you are a source for some other source. Like you are the legacy application. So you can create web services for your application and you can expose it to your to the application that needs to fetch data from your side. You can email the reports also. Okay, so this is the entire architecture of Pentaho.
I got it.
Yeah. Okay, so that's all then. Let me just check if there's anything else.
Yeah, so Pentaho PI. So This is a business intelligence tool, right?
Right, and this
So
is the entire suite, okay? This layer, this data and application layer is basically your PDI, Pentaho Data Integration tool that we're going to learn.
mhm.
That is the ETL tool out of.
So I'm not going to learn this other things here,
No,
only
actually
the
it's a very,
integration.
it's a very vast thing. And I
Okay.
think once, before you do all this, you will have to know how to use this
Yeah, data
data
integration.
integration tool. Yeah.
So the data integration means like only extracting it and extracting from the data source and uh, um, sending to the presentation layer, or is
Yeah.
it
Uh,
also getting the data and save it in the data source?
yeah, it is, it is. It is entirely all that. You can get the data, you can save it in your source. In fact, all this email, creating a web service, all this was also done using data integration tool. See, the entire thing is out of scope. It is not like that. You can create cubes. You can create when you have a dashboard, for example, the data that is required for the dashboard will be created using your data integration tool. Just because you brought the legacy, you brought a third-party application into your application does not mean the data is ready for reporting. You will have to
Okay.
write certain logic that is suitable for these dashboards. All your dashboard will contain your UI, but to feed data into the UI,
Mm-hmm.
this application integration tool will help you.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's a very fairly simple. Probably at the end of the session, I could give you an overview as to how to use the dashboard, the
So
reporting dashboard.
normally, like
Yeah,
I'm from like development, so whenever a web application is developed, so
yeah.
do they use the data integration tool? Because
Yes, they
normally
do.
they have the data access layer
Right,
in
right,
the
right. Actually, even where I work from, where I actually work, I also work on these reporting layer also. Okay, so I do work with a UI developer, and the data is always preferred to be fetched from a KTR. We do not prefer keeping a SQL query there, because tomorrow when you host an application, you don't want to do you don't want to do UI changes there. What you can do is you can change, if you want to change the business logic, for example, it was addition of 2 columns and now you want addition of 3 columns. If you had done it in a SQL, it would mean actually changing the SQL on your production server, correct? But if you don't want to do
Mhm.
that, what you can do is you can write that SQL in your data integration layer itself and you can upload that file.
Mhm.
The whole change management and the risk of error, comes down when you do the fetching of data in the data integration tool itself,
Mhm.
using the data integration tool itself.
Okay, I
Yeah,
understand. Mhm.
yeah.
So, what do you say about the Pentaho BI suite? Like there are other tools also, like the data integration tools, ETL tools. So,
Actually,
why Pentaho?
it is an upcoming tool that is coming in the market. The greatest advantage of there's a community edition available to it. All your ETL tools, your Informatica, Ab Initio, they are all legacy tools, and it's a proprietary solution. You need to pay a very heavy amount to be using that tool. In case of Pentaho, you don't need to do that, and it's a Java-based tool.
Mhm.
So it works on your Windows platform, it works on your Linux platform, and it comes with the whole Java packaging. So
Okay.
two. Third advantage of it is it supports a number of data sources. It supports SQL, MySQL, it supports cubes, it supports Hadoop. Uh, there are like n number of data sources, that wide range of data sources that Pentaho supports. And it's a fairly
So it
easy to
also
use tool.
supports
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
web services.
Yes, yes, it does. It does. You can actually, there's a REST client and you don't really need to write a lot of code. There's a REST client step in your Pentaho suite where you all you need to provide is a URL and whether you want to get or post or put. All you need to do is define that.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll be able to fetch the data in the format that you want. You can fetch the data in a JSON format. You can fetch the data in an XML format.
Okay. So
Yeah, and
I have been trained in Workday. So
okay.
what do you say about that? Like, what is the difference between these two?
I haven't used Workday.
So normally I know that whatever the thing you said, like there is the same thing in
Okay, Workday
Workday,
is an
the
open
concept.
source tool.
Uh, no, it is not
So that
open
is,
source.
I think, that's why I mentioned the first thing. I think there are very few ETL tools that are open source and it's a very fairly easy tool to learn also. Once you get a grasp of
And
it,
it is a
you will be able to write
cloud-based tool.
Workday or you're talking about Pentaho?
Workday.
Okay, you're talking about Workday is a cloud-based tool. Okay.
So
So this
is
is a
this
Java-based
one the
tool.
cloud-based one?
Yeah, you can
Okay.
actually
Normally, we
integrate
don't
data to
have
a
to
cloud.
download the Workday. Yeah, sorry.
Acha, oh, okay, okay. It's directly a browser-based tool.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, okay, 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 okay. This is not a, there's a browser-based, this whole BI suite can be a BA suite actually inside it, business app analytics or application or something, where you create your dashboard. That's a browser-based tool. Uh, Pentaho is a downloadable version, and I think that should be more preferable. Na? If you're offline or something, you can still continue to work.
Mhm.
And when it is not a browser-based application, the editing becomes quite easy. The editing in a
Mhm.
browser-based application, I think, is very painful.
Mhm. Editing is fine, but extracting, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, actually,
Understood.
it's just a one. Right. The whole point is to manage your everyday task in a browser-based application as compared to a desktop-based application. It is more easier in a desktop-based application.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay.
So regarding the what about the job wise, like
See,
how is
there
the
are very,
jobs in this
yeah, yeah.
Pentaho?
There's not
What
a
kind of
wide range.
positions you have?
I'll tell you. There's not a wide range of job opportunities, but there are a good amount actually these days. People are actually these days. This is the best time that Pentaho has ever had because it's in a it's the perfect equilibrium. The number of resources that are trained on Pentaho are few. So the whole competition around for a position is a little low. So you can actually easily crack an interview in Pentaho if you know the basics of a tool and you can use it. And
Mm-hmm.
I think there are fair amount of openings coming up in Pentaho in the market. Uh, One, this is a community edition. So, you don't really need a big gun, like company
Mm-hmm.
to be able to use this tool. Any small scale company, which is a startup also can start using this tool because you can use the community edition. And like I told you, number of resources who know Pentaho are very few.
Resources. Okay.
Uh, as compared to other tools, like if you have Informatica, you have Ab initio, number of people who worked in Ab initio and Informatica are way more than number of people who worked in Pentaho. So I think job-wise, it's a good thing.
Job wise, it's a good thing you're saying, but
Yeah,
you're saying like it
because,
is a open source,
huh,
then anybody
it can
can
be used. Correct,
get
correct,
it
right.
and anybody can work on it, anybody can learn
Correct,
this.
correct. And the technology is
So
also fairly new in comparison with Informatica and Ab initio. I think maximum Pentaho has been in the market for like 10 years now, maximum. I'm not even sure if 10 years is the correct number. Okay, so the number of resources who know how to use Pentaho are also few.
mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
having this tool on your profile would be a good thing, is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good. Anything else?
And I think that's all from my side also.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah,
I
do you
just want,
have Pentaho installed in this machine?
on my machine, I haven't, but I'll show you how to do it. I downloaded it's basically you have to download a zip file from the Pentaho website. There's a community website. I'll take this up in one of the sessions, how to install and how to start with it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's anything else?
Mm, no, that will be all for
Oh,
now.
okay. All right. Farhan, if there's nothing else or you want if you have certain questions, you can go ahead with it then.
No, I don't have any questions. We can end the session for now, and
Okay.
I'll update you if I have got any other candidates who are interested to enroll into this training.
Okay.
As soon as I get any update, I'll update you, and about Rafe also, I'll update you soon.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, alright. Thank you for joining, Adilvi.
Sure. Thank
Mm-hmm.
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Have a
Thank
great
you.
day.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
bye.